Hello and welcome to day 14, Gifford Youth Orchestra Annual Concert Series. She said, I read where you think music can help children calm down and pay attention. And I want to enroll my grandsons who need help in that way. The twins were so fidgety they found it hard to follow directions because they just couldn't focus long enough to get it. And that's the way their public school teacher described it. And we saw the same thing when these two 9-year-olds were enrolled in the Gifford Youth Orchestra. These boys' lives were going to be lost the same way Annie Powell was concerned when she originally challenged me to establish the Gifford Youth Orchestra. If you remember, Annie Powell said, our children are being left behind. What are you going to do about it? So I said to Joan Har, these boys are going to be left behind. What are you going to do about it? How can we give them a better tomorrow, since that's our promise? So Joan decided that she would put each boy in a separate class for special tutoring after the group class they were in. That didn't work. They couldn't sit still long enough in the group class. So Joan gave each boy an individual lesson. And after a while, they were calm enough that she could bring them back into the group together, bring them back into the group lessons. And about that same time, the teacher at the public school called the grandmother and said, you know, we're going to be able to put these boys back into the group lessons in school. The Gifford Youth Orchestra's approach to music worked. Actually, we know it was music that worked. Remember what Plato said? Music gives children the keys to learning. If you saw my Facebook page, say over the last year, you actually saw a picture of these twins, James and Robert George. Here's the photo now, and I'm sure you can guess which two boys are the twins. The photo comes from a nursing home where we were giving a performance in the summer of 2018. It was 2017, I'm sorry, 2017. And at the time, the boys still had, they were still boys. They were still kids. They still touched everything. Here's a photo of them touching everything. And we were constantly running to find them at the nursing home while we were waiting to give the performance. At one point, we couldn't find one of the twins, and I'm not sure which one it is that we couldn't find, but we did eventually discover where he was because we heard the music down the hall. He was playing for a patient. He said he heard someone calling out and he went to see what they wanted. The patient had said they couldn't get out of the bed, but they wanted someone to open the door of their room so they could hear the music. This young man went in and we found him standing at the edge of the bed playing Amazing Grace for that patient. The boys were very loving and very kind, and they were always happy, and everybody in the program loved them. But the grandmother had to move to Georgia in 2017. And she, of course, had to take the boys with her. And it was a loss that we couldn't do anything about. And we missed them very much. And I heard from them often. One of the boys would call me, or the grandmother would call, and then the whole family would get on the phone. We surely did miss the George twins until 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 2020, after COVID forced the Gifford Youth Orchestra to give all of our students private lessons on Zoom. So I'm going to read to you a little bit of the press release that went out, I think it was around May of 2020. The grandmother said, "One of the happiest days of my life was when I heard my grandson play 'God is an Awesome God' on the violin." This is a quote from Mrs. Beasley, the grandmother of the twins, Robert and James George, who had been a part of the Gifford Youth Orchestra for 3 years before moving to Georgia in 2017. Recently, Mrs. Beasley discovered in a conversation with Dr. Boujol that they were giving private lessons to each student on Zoom. And you guessed it, arrangements are being made for the 2 violins to be shipped to Georgia so that Robert and James will soon be able to take violin lessons on Zoom. The boys are now 13 and will be freshmen in high school when school begins in late August. Needless to say, they are thrilled, and from the bottom of their hearts, the boys, along with their grandmother, wish to thank the many generous GYO donors who have made this all possible. That was the press release in May. The one donor who made it possible was Terry Domino. And the boys are now performing in this year's concert. These boys wanted the better tomorrows that we promise. And their love for the GYO, along with the special donation from Terry, caused the Gifford Youth Orchestra to go national. That's what love and money can do. Grow things. That's what your donation can do for another child somewhere in the world. So I ask you to consider making your donation today, but wait until after you've heard the feast of music we have for you today. Then, yes, send your donation to support the universal bowl that blesses the Gifford Youth Orchestra's promise of better tomorrows. Thank you for visiting with us today. Enjoy the young people now. Send your donation and then tune in tomorrow for another feast.
I can't with all the amazing talent that we've heard so far. Oh my goodness, such great performers. And I'm happy to be able to introduce the next best famous artist to hit the stage. She's gonna have you saying, "Who's Pablo Picasso?" All I know is Isabella Cruz. She's gonna be on her violin playing the swallowtail jig. She is a 7th grader from Storm Grove. Put your hands together again for the amazing Isabella Cruz.